Welcome, weary traveler. Come in from wherever you have been. The hour is late, but here there is warmth waiting for you. Tonight marks a special evening. It is the 20th time we have opened this journal together, and for this occasion, the innkeeper shares with us a night unlike any other. A night when the very heart of the inn, the white candle that has burned without diminishing since the first winter, flickered and dimmed. Not from wind, not from neglect, but from something the innkeeper had never encountered before. So settle in now. Let the blankets find their place around you. The fire is warm, the night is deep, and the innkeeper is waiting. Close your eyes if you wish.
The 23rd day of the first moon, the cold came not like a visitor, but like a conqueror. I have known winters here at the crossroads. 13 of them now, if I count from the season. My father closed his eyes for the last time and left me to tend this place alone. I have known the kind of cold that makes the hinges sing, that turns breath to crystal before it leaves the lips, that settles into the bones of the building itself until even the walls seem to shiver. But this winter, this particular stretch of days, has been something else entirely. The cold arrived 3 days ago with a wind that howled down from the northern passes like something wounded. It brought no snow at first, only that bitter, biting emptiness that steals warmth faster than any blizzard. The sky turned the color of old pewter and stayed that way, pressing down upon the crossroads as though it meant to flatten everything beneath it. And the temperature dropped. It dropped further than I have ever recorded in this journal. I know because I keep a small instrument my father made, a simple glass tube filled with spirits, marked along its length with notches he carved himself. He called it his weather glass, though I think he made it more for curiosity than necessity. The spirits rise and fall with the temperature, and on most winter nights, they hover somewhere in the middle range of marks. On this night, when I checked the glass before retiring to my chamber, the spirits had sunk below the lowest mark my father ever carved. Below the point he must have thought the cold would never reach. I added a new notch with my pocket knife. There, in the dim light of the common room, I do not know if I will ever need it again. I hope I will not. But the mark is there now, carved into the glass like a scar, a record of this extraordinary cold that I can point to in years to come and say, yes, it really was that bad. Yes, we survived. I say we, as though there is anyone here beside myself, old habit perhaps from the years when my father was alive, when this place was full of voices and footsteps and the constant coming and going of travelers. We would say it then, my father and I, when discussing the weather or the stores or the state of the roads. We survived, we managed, we made it through. Now there is only I and the fire, and the old oak tree standing sentinel at the crossroads, its bare branches reaching toward the iron sky like fingers seeking warmth they will never find. The inn has grown quiet in this cold. Not the comfortable quiet of a peaceful evening, but the heavy quiet of absence. The roads have become dangerous, not from bandits or wolves, but simply from the air itself. A traveler caught between settlements in this weather, without adequate clothing or shelter, would not survive the night. And so the travelers have stopped coming. For 2 days now, I have had no guests at all. This is not the first time the inn has stood empty. There have been other stretches, a week once, during a summer plague scare, when the roads were closed by order of the coastal authorities, and another time during the autumn floods, when the southern road became impassable for nearly 10 days. I survived those silences. I told myself the travelers would return, and they did, but this feels different. Perhaps it is the cold itself that makes the emptiness harder to bear. In summer, even an empty inn feels alive. The sunlight streaming through the windows, the birds singing in the oak tree, the kitchen garden bursting with growth. In autumn, there are tasks to occupy the hands: preserving food, preparing wood, readying the building for winter. But now, in the depth of winter, with the cold pressing in from every direction and the sky the color of old iron, the emptiness takes on a weight of its own. I find myself walking through the common room in the afternoons when the pale light filters weakly through the frost-covered windows, and I count the tables as though they might have changed since yesterday. 6 tables, 40 seats if we crowd them, all empty. The chairs sit where I placed them after the last cleaning, their backs against the tables, waiting for hands to pull them out, for bodies to settle into them, for voices to fill the space between the walls. The fireplace is enormous, large enough for a man to stand within, my father always said, though why anyone would want to stand's a mystery to me. He built it that way deliberately, he told me once, not for any practical reason, but because he wanted the travelers who came here to feel that they had found something substantial, something that would last. A fireplace that size, he said, makes a promise. It says, "This place is solid. This place will keep you warm. This place will not fail you when the cold comes." I think of those words often now, as I feed log after log into the hungry flames. The fire consumes wood with a voracity that surprises me, even after all these years. Each log seems to vanish faster than the last, transformed into heat and light and ash, leaving nothing behind but the need for more. It takes a great deal of wood to keep a fire burning hot enough to warm a room this size, and I have been feeding it constantly. The woodshed is well stocked. I made certain of that before the first nose came. Aldrich, a tinker who passes through each autumn on his way to the coastal markets, helped me stack the final cords in exchange for a night's lodging and a hot meal. "Good dry oak," he said, testing the weight of each log before adding it to the pile. "This will see you through the worst of it." But even so, I find myself calculating how many logs remain, how many days the cold might last. How long before the supply runs thin if no one comes with a cart of fresh-cut timber from the southern forest? The calculation frightens me a little, though I do not let myself dwell on it. In the kitchen, I have kept a pot of stew warming on the iron hook above the smaller cooking fire, root vegetables from the cellar, chunks of salted pork, barley to thicken it, herbs from the dried bundles hanging above the mantel. The stew has been simmering for so long now that it has become something richer than it started. The flavors deepening with each hour, the meat falling apart at the touch of a spoon. It smells wonderful. It tastes better than anything I've made in months. and there is no one to eat it but me. I take my meals alone at the table nearest the fire, the same table where my father used to sit when he was too tired to stand but unwilling to leave the common room entirely. I remember him there in the evenings, his large hands wrapped around a mug of cider, his eyes watching the door as though willing it to open. He loved the travelers, my father, not just for the coin they brought, though that was necessary, but for the stories they carried, for the proof that the world extended beyond these walls, that life continued in places he would never see. He would listen to them for hours, those travelers, merchants from the coast with tales of foreign ships and exotic goods, pilgrims making their way to the mountain shrines with stories of miracles and answered prayers, frontier families heading west with nothing but hope and determination to sustain them. Each one carried a piece of the world with them, and my father collected those pieces like a man collecting precious stones. The roads are the blood of the world, he told me once, when I was young enough to still be confused by such metaphors. And the inns are the heart. Everything passes through us. Everything rests here, even if only for a night. I did not fully understand him then. I was a child, more interested in the horses in the stable than in philosophy. But now, sitting alone in the common room with a bowl of stew I made for guests who have not come, I think I begin to understand. The inn is not just a building, it is a function, a purpose, a role in the great interconnected web of roads and travelers and destinations. Without the travelers, the inn becomes something else, just a house in the wilderness, just walls and a roof with a man inside them. The building remains, but the meaning drains away. I think of him often during these empty nights. His presence lingers here, in the beams he cut and fitted, in the stones he stacked to make the fireplace, in the very shape of the rooms he designed. Sometimes I imagine I can hear his footsteps on the floor above me, though I know it is only the wood settling in the cold. Sometimes I turn toward the kitchen expecting to see him there, flour dusting his forearms, humming some old tune under his breath. He would not like this silence, I think. He built this place to be full. The white candle burns on the mantel as it has burned since the first winter. Its flame is steady tonight, neither leaning toward the door nor away from it, just burning, patient, waiting. I placed my hand near the flame earlier, not to feel its warmth, for it gives off little heat, strange as that seems, but simply to reassure myself that it was real, that the old woman's gift had not faded with the years. The wax remains the same pure white it was when she pressed it into my hands so many winters ago now. No drippings, no diminishing, no sign that it is burned at all. Despite the countless hours the flame has danced upon its wick, I have stopped questioning the candle's nature. In the early years, I spent many nights pondering it, how it could burn without consuming itself, why it gave light but so little heat, what magic or miracle sustained it through the seasons. I even wrote to a scholar in one of the Eastern universities once, describing the candle in careful detail and asking if he knew of any similar phenomena. His reply, when it finally came, was politely dismissive. "A candle that does not diminish is an impossibility," he wrote. "You must be mistaken about what you are observing, but I'm not mistaken. I have watched this candle for 13 years. I have measured its length with a piece of twine, and the measurement has never changed. I have watched its flame through storms and summers, through crowded nights and empty ones. It burns. It persists. And when travelers approach the crossroads, lost or cold, seeking shelter, its flame leans toward the door, as though reaching for them, calling them, guiding them home. She told me it would guide them here, the travelers, the lost ones, the ones who needed shelter most. I wonder sometimes if the candle works only when there are travelers to guide, if on nights like this when the roads are empty, it simply waits, or if perhaps it is burning for someone I cannot yet see, someone still out there in the frozen darkness, making their way toward this single point of light. The wind is howling again. I should check the stable before I retire, make certain the doors are latched against the draft, that the water trough has not frozen solid, that the hay remains dry. There are no horses there tonight. The last travelers took theirs with them when they departed. But the building itself needs tending, needs to be kept ready. The stable was the first structure my father built, even before the inn itself. He needed somewhere to keep the horses and the mules that would carry his materials, and he needed it quickly before the autumn rains came. I remember helping him, though I was barely old enough to lift the hammers he used. He let me hold the nails while he drove them in, let me fetch the boards he needed, let me feel like I was part of something important. When the stable was finished, we slept in it for a month while the inn took shape around us. The smell of fresh-cut wood and hay, the sound of horses breathing nearby, the way the moonlight came through the gaps in the walls before we filled them with clay. Those are some of my earliest memories, the time before the inn was an inn, when it was still coming something. Now, the stable stands solid and weather-tight, a testament to my father's skill and patience. The horses that pass through comment on it sometimes, in the way horses do, settling in quickly, eating heartily, sleeping deeply in the straw-filled stalls. It is a good stable, a comfortable place. Even empty, it retains the warmth of all the creatures that have rested there over the years. Everything must be kept ready. That is what it means to keep an inn at the crossroads, not to serve only when guests arrive, but to be prepared always in the certainty that someone will come. Someone always comes, eventually, even in the coldest winter in 13 years, even when the roads are empty and the sky presses down like iron, someone will come. Entry 2, the 24th day of the first moon. They came today, though not many. The first arrived just after midday, a figure trudging through the snow that had finally begun to fall in the night. I saw him from the window of my chamber where I had been sitting with this journal, and at first I thought my eyes were playing tricks. The snow was falling so thickly that the crossroads had become a swirling white curtain, and shapes seemed to form and dissolve within it. But this shape remained solid. It grew larger as it approached, and then it resolved into a man leading a single sheep by a rope. I was downstairs with the door open before he'd reached the yard. His name is Aldrich, though he did not offer it until he had been sitting by the fire for nearly an hour with a bowl of stew warm in his hands. He is a shepherd from one of the hill farms to the north, an older man with a face weathered into deep creases and eyes the color of river stones. The sheep, he told me, is the last of his flock. I did not ask what happened to the others. The way his voice caught on the word last told me everything I needed to know. The cold took them, I imagine, or wolves, driven down from the high passes by the same cold that drove Aldrich south. Or perhaps some sickness that spread through the flock before he could stop it. These things happen in hard winters. I have heard the stories from other shepherds over the years. A flock that survives 3 winters without loss can be decimated in a single bad season. The cold is patient. The cold is relentless. And the sheep, for all their woolly insulation, are fragile creatures beneath it all. Aldrich does not speak of what he lost, but I see it in the way he looks at the single sheep that remains, the tenderness in his eyes, the careful way he handles the rope that tethers her. She is all he has left of a life's work, and he has walked 3 days through a killing storm to bring her to safety. That kind of devotion deserves respect. That kind of loss deserves silence. It does not matter truly how the others died. What matters is that this man walked for 3 days through the worst weather of the season with a single sheep as his only companion, and now he is here, safe, warm, fed. He has not spoken much since finishing his stew, but he has not needed to. I gave him one of the private rooms, the one with the thicker blankets, and told him he could stay as long as the cold lasts. He looked at me as though I had offered him something precious. Perhaps I had. Sometimes shelter is the most precious thing there is. The sheep is in the stable, bedded down in fresh straw. I gave her some grain from the stores meant for horses, and she ate it with an eagerness that made me smile despite myself. A survivor, that one, like her shepherd. The second guest arrived in the late afternoon, a woman in widow's black, traveling with a cart driven by a boy who could not have been more than 14. Her name is Marin, and she has been to the eastern settlements to bury her sister. The boy is her nephew, now her charge, and he has not spoken a single word since they arrived. I learned these things not from Marin herself, but from the careful way she answered my questions. Brief sentences, each word chosen with precision, as though speaking too much might cause something inside her to break. The journey back from the coast has been hard on her. The cold, the roads, the weight of grief she carries like a physical burden. I saw it in the way she moved, the way she held herself at the table, the way her eyes drifted toward the fire and stayed there, seeing something far away. Grief is like that, I have observed. It takes people out of themselves, sends them drifting into memories or fears or simply into blankness. The present moment becomes unbearable, so the mind escapes to somewhere else, anywhere else. just to find a moment's relief from the weight. I recognize it because I have felt it myself. In the days after my father died, I moved through the inn like a ghost, performing my duties without truly inhabiting them. The fire needed tending. I tended it. The guests needed feeding. I fed them. But some essential part of me was elsewhere, lost in the impossible vastness of a world that no longer contained my father's voice or laugh or footsteps on the stairs. It took months before I felt fully present again. Months of small tasks and ordinary days, of sunrise and sunset, and the slow accumulation of moments that eventually become a new kind of normal. Marin will find her way back too in time, but for now, she needs a place to rest, a fire to sit beside, a silence that does not demand anything from her. The boy ate his stew in silence and then asked, in a voice barely above a whisper, if he might see the stable. I told him, of course, and watched from the window as he crossed the yard in the snow. He stayed out there for a long time, longer than I would have expected given the cold. When he returned, his cheeks were red, but his eyes seemed clearer somehow. Perhaps the animals helped. They often do. He and his aunt are sharing one of the common rooms tonight. Offered them separate accommodations, but Marin shook her head quickly, almost fearfully. She does not want to let the boy out of her sight. I understand. After losing her sister, after taking on this new responsibility, she must feel as though the world has become uncertain in ways it never was before. Keeping him close is her way of keeping him safe. The third guest came as night was falling. He is a cartwright, a silent man with sawdust still caught in the creases of his coat, despite the days of travel. He gave his name as Henrik and offered nothing else, not even a word of thanks. When I placed the bowl of stew before him, he ate quickly, mechanically, his eyes fixed on some middle distance that excluded everything around him. I have learned not to take offense at such silences. People carry their own weather with them when they travel, and some weather is stormier than others. Henrik is running from something or towards something, I cannot tell which, and the running has worn him down to the bare minimum of words and gestures. He will sleep in one of the common rooms tonight, on a pallet in the corner furthest from the others. He asked specifically for that corner, for that distance. I gave it to him without question. Some travelers into the crossroads seeking company. They want to share their stories, to hear the stories of others, to feel less alone in the vast indifference of the world. But others come seeking solitude, a place where they can be separate, even in a room full of people, where no one will demand more from them than they are capable of giving. Both needs are valid. Both deserve to be honored. The innkeeper's job is not to decide which travelers should want company and which should want solitude, but simply to provide whatever each traveler needs. So the inn is no longer empty. 4 guests where yesterday there were none, plus the sheep in the stable and the cart horse that Marin and her nephew brought with them. The common room has voices in it again, though they are quiet voices. The fire seems warmer when there are people to warm. The stew tastes better when there are mouths to feed. And yet, something feels different tonight, off somehow, in a way I cannot quite name. The white candle burns on the mantel as it always does, but several times this evening I have glanced at it and felt a strange unease. The flame is steady. I have checked repeatedly, but there is something in its steadiness that troubles me. A waiting quality, an anticipation. It reminds me of the way the air feels before a storm. Charged, expectant, humming with potential energy that has not yet found release. The sky may be clear, the wind may be calm, but something is coming. Something is building. And the candle somehow knows it before I do. I am being foolish, probably. The isolation of the past few days has made me too attuned to small changes, too ready to see meaning in meaningless things. The candle is just a candle, miraculous though it may be. It burns because that is its nature. It will continue to burn until what? Until it is no longer needed? Until the crossroads itself falls into ruin? The old woman never told me how it ends. She told me only to welcome them all. I will check the fire once more before I retire. Make certain everyone has enough blankets. Make certain the doors are latched against the wind that has begun to rise again outside. And then I will climb the narrow stairs to my chamber, light my own ordinary candle at the desk my father made, and write these words by its ordinary light. Tomorrow the cold may break, or it may not. Either way, I will be here, keeping the crossroads, keeping the light. Entry the 3. The 25th day of the first moon. The cold did not break. If anything, it has grown worse. The wind has shifted to come directly from the north now, howling down through the mountain passes with a fury that rattles the shutters and sends drafts snaking through every gap in the walls. I spent the morning stuffing rags into cracks, checking the window frames, doing what I could to keep the warmth inside. It is never enough. In weather like this, the cold finds every weakness. Aldrich helped me with the work, despite my protest that he should rest. He is a practical man used to working through hardship, and I think the labor comforts him. His hands needed something to do besides remember the sheep he lost. Together, we reinforced the stable doors and checked on the animals, the cart horse, the surviving sheep, the chickens I keep in a small coop behind the kitchen. Everything was alive. Everything was holding on. The work was simple, but satisfying. Aldrich knew his way around a hammer and nail, which should not have surprised me. A shepherd must be many things, including a builder, when his flock depends on shelters that hold against the wind. We spoke little as we worked, but the silence was companionable. There is a kind of communication in shared labor that does not require words. When we finished with the stable, we moved to the woodshed. The drifted snow had piled against one wall, threatening to warp the boards, so we cleared it away with shovels and then checked the interior for any damage. The wood was dry, well stacked, covered with oilskin. Against it any moisture that might seep through the cracks. My father taught me that a good woodshed is worth its weight in gold when the deep cold comes. Aldrich nodded approvingly as he surveyed the supplies. Your father taught you well, he said. It was the first mention either of us had made of my father, and the words surprised me. But Aldrich did not seem to notice my reaction. He simply continued examining the woodpile, testing the weight of individual logs, doing the calculations that all people do in winter. How much is here? How long will it last? Will it be enough? Marin and her nephew have kept mostly to themselves. The boy, his name is Tobias, I learned, though he did not tell me himself, has developed a fondness for the sheep in the stable. He goes out twice a day to feed her, to brush the ice from her wool, to sit with her in the relative warmth of the hay-filled stalls. Marin watches him go with worry in her eyes, but she does not stop him. Perhaps she understands that grief takes different paths for different people, and his path leads to a small woolly creature who survived against the odds. Henrik the cartwright left this morning. I tried to convince him to wait. The weather, I said, the roads, the danger of traveling alone in conditions like these. But he shook his head with that same distant look in his eyes and gathered his things and walked out into the snow without a backward glance. I watched him until the white swallowed him up, until he became just another shape in the swirling curtain, and then he was gone. There was something in his departure that troubled me beyond the obvious danger. He had the look of a man walking towards something he did not expect to survive. Not in a dramatic way, not with the fanfare of heroics or sacrifice, but with the quiet resignation of someone who has made a calculation and found the odds acceptable, even if they favor oblivion. I see this sometimes in travelers, the ones who are running towards something they left behind, the ones who cannot rest because rest would mean thinking, and thinking has become too painful to bear. They move because movement is easier than stillness, even when movement leads them into danger. I do not know what will happen to Henrik. I do not know where he was going or why he could not wait. But I said a small prayer for him as I closed the door against the cold, and I added another log to the fire, and I tried not to think about what might happen to a man alone on the frozen roads. The prayer was simple, one my father used to say when travelers departed into uncertain weather. Safe roads and warm rest, may you find what you seek, and may what you seek be worthy of the seeking. I do not know if such prayers are heard by anyone beyond the walls of this inn, but the act of speaking them brings a comfort of its own. It is a way of letting go while still holding on, a way of saying, you are beyond my help now, but you are not beyond my hopes. Some people cannot be saved from their own determination. This afternoon, with the wind screaming outside and the fire crackling inside, I found myself in conversation with Aldrich about the old days. He remembers my father, it turns out, not well. They met only once or twice, years ago, when Aldrich was a younger man and my father was still alive. But the memory is there. He spoke of my father's laugh, which I had almost forgotten. Deep and rumbling, he said, like stones rolling down a hillside. Yes, that is exactly what it sounded like. The laugh would start somewhere deep in my father's chest and build upward, gaining momentum as it rose until it burst out of him like water through a broken dam. It was infectious, that laugh. You could not be in the same room with it and remain unmoved. Even travelers who arrived in the foulest moods would find themselves smiling when my father laughed, drawn out of themselves by the sheer exuberance of it. He laughed most often at his own jokes, which were rarely as funny as he thought they were. But that was part of the charm. He would tell some labored pun or obvious jest, and then he would start laughing before the words were even fully out of his mouth, and the laughter itself became the joke. People laughed because he laughed. They found joy in his joy. I have not laughed like that since he died. I have laughed, yes, quiet chuckles at the absurdities of innkeeping, small smiddles at the antics of travelers, but not the deep rolling laugh that my father possessed. Perhaps I'm simply not built for it. Or perhaps some kinds of laughter can only be learned, and I did not learn his before he was gone. I could not speak for a moment after Aldrich mentioned it. The laugh came back to me so vividly, so completely, that for an instant my father was there in the room with us. I could see him standing by the fireplace, one hand on the mantel, his head thrown back in that particular way he had when something truly amused him. The memory was so strong it hurt. Aldrich seemed to understand. He did not try to fill the silence with more words. He simply sat with me in the quiet, two men who have both lost things, warming themselves by a fire that has burned for 13 years and will burn, I hope, for many more. Later, as the afternoon light began to fade, I climbed to my chamber to sit at my father's desk, the desk where I am writing now. I ran my hands over the wood, feeling the grain beneath my fingers, the slight irregularities where his tools slipped, or where the wood itself refused to be perfectly smooth. He made this desk for me when I was a child, he said, so that I would have a place to do my lessons, to practice my letters, to read the books he brought back from the coastal markets. I do not think he imagined I would still be using it all these years later to record the comings and goings of strangers in a leather-bound journal. But I like to think he would be pleased. This desk has become part of the inn itself, part of the keeping. Every word I write here is a small act of preservation, a way of holding on to the moments before they slip away into the past. The white candle flickered just now. I looked up from my writing and saw it clearly through the open door of my chamber, down the narrow stairs, across the common room to the mantel where it sits. The flame wavered, leaned, steadied, probably just a draft. The wind is strong tonight, stronger than it has been, and even with all my efforts to seal the gaps, some cold air must be finding its way inside. A draft would explain the flicker. A draft would explain everything. But the candle has never flickered before. Not once in 13 years, not in any storm, any wind, any winter I have endured. I am going downstairs to check. Entry 3. Continued, I have checked. The candle is burning steadily again, its flame tall and straight. But something is different. I can feel it. The way you can feel when someone is watching you from across a room even before you turn to look. The way you can feel a storm coming before the first clouds appear on the horizon. I am sitting now at the table nearest the fire, the journal open before me, the common room quiet around me. Aldrich has retired for the night. Marin and Tobias went up an hour ago. I am alone with the fire and the candle and this feeling I cannot shake. The flame is leaning now, not much, just a degree or two, tilting toward the door as it always does when someone is approaching, but there is no sound of footsteps outside, no knock, no call for shelter, just the wind, the endless wind, and the candle leaning toward something I cannot see. Someone is coming. Someone is coming. And for the first time since the old woman gave me this gift, I am not certain I want them to arrive. Entry 4. The 25th day of the first moon, late night. He came at the hour when the night is deepest, when even the fire seems to burn lower, as though conserving its strength for the long dark before dawn. I was still sitting at the table, unable to sleep, unable to look away from the candle that continued to lean toward the door, waiting. The knock, when it finally came, was not the knock of a traveler seeking shelter. Most travelers knock tentatively, hopefully, their fists raised against the wood in a gesture that is half request and half prayer. Please be open. Please be warm. Please let us in. I have heard that knock 1,000 times in 1,000 variations, and I have come to know its rhythm as well as I know my own heartbeat. This knock was different. 3 strikes, evenly spaced, delivered with a force that suggested neither hope nor desperation. A formal knock, an official knock, the knock of someone who expects doors to open for them, who has been trained to announce their presence with authority rather than humility. I rose from the table, crossed the room. The candle's flame was leaning so far toward the door now that it seemed almost horizontal, straining toward whatever stood beyond the threshold. And for one strange moment, I felt certain that if I opened that door, the flame would leap from the candle entirely, would fly through the night to reach whoever was waiting outside. I did not want to open the door. The thought came to me with a clarity that startled me. I, who have built my life around the principle of welcoming all who come, did not want to open this door, did not want to see who stood on the other side, did not want to let whatever was out there into the warmth I had so carefully maintained. But the knock came again. 3 strikes, patient, certain, and so I opened the door. He stood on the threshold like a figure carved from the storm itself, a tall man wrapped in a heavy cloak, snow and ice crusting his shoulders and hood, his face half hidden in shadow. Behind him, the night swirled with white, and for a moment I could not tell where the snow ended and the man began. Then he stepped forward into the light, and I saw him clearly. He was perhaps 40 years of age, though the cold had drawn his features tight in a way that made precise judgment difficult. Dark eyes set deep beneath a heavy brow, a jaw that looked like it had been shaped by hardship. The cloak he wore was Official, road-warden gray, with the crossed road symbol stitched on the left breast. A courier, then, or a warden, or some combination of the two. A man whose business was the roads themselves. In his arms, clutched against his chest, as though it were more precious than his own warmth, he carried a bundle wrapped in oilskin. "Shelter," he said. His voice was rough, scraped raw by the cold. "I need shelter." The words were simple enough, the same words I've heard countless times, and yet they fell strangely on my ears, lacking the gratitude that usually accompanies such requests. This man was not asking for shelter. He was demanding it, claiming it as his right. I stepped aside to let him pass. He entered the common room in 3 long strides, shedding snow with each step, his eyes sweeping the pool with the quick assessment of someone used to evaluating rooms for threats. The fireplace, the tables, the stairs leading to the upper floor, the candle on the mantel. He stopped when he saw the candle. The flame was no longer leaning toward the door. It was leaning away from him, away from the man who had just entered, bending back as though pressed by an invisible hand, shrinking from his presence like a living thing recoiling from danger. I have never seen it do that before. In 13 years, through every traveler who has crossed this threshold, the white candle has always leaned toward newcomers, welcoming them, drawing them in, guiding them to safety. But now it was pulling away, its light diminished somehow, its flame smaller than I had ever seen it. The man did not seem to notice, or if he noticed, he did not care. He moved to the table nearest the fire, my father's table, the table where I had been sitting, and lowered himself into a chair with the careful movements of someone who has been cold for too long. The bundle in his arms he placed on the table before him, keeping one hand on it at all times, as though afraid it might vanish if he looked away. "Food," he said, not a request, a statement of need. I went to the kitchen and ladled stew into a bowl. My hands were steady, though my thoughts were not. Something was wrong. Something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. The candle's behavior, the man's manner, the bundle he guarded so jealously, all of it felt like pieces of a puzzle I could not yet see. Whole. When I returned with the stew, the man ate without speaking. He ate quickly, efficiently, his eyes never leaving the bundle even as he raised the spoon to his lips. I sat across from him at the table, not my usual seat, but the position felt necessary somehow. I needed to see his face, needed to understand who had come into my inn on this frozen night. "You're a road warden," I said, not a question. He glanced up. Those dark eyes held no warmth. Am. Depends who's asking. Just the innkeeper. Then yes. I walk the roads. I carry what needs carrying. His hand tightened on the bundle. And tonight, I carry this. I looked at the oilskin-wrapped package. It was roughly the size of a small box, perhaps large enough to hold a book or a collection of documents or something more unusual still. The oilskin was new, unworn by travel, which meant the package itself had been wrapped recently. Whatever was inside it had not been in his possession for long. "What is it?" I asked. The man's jaw tightened. "Nothing you need to know. You brought it into my inn." "I have brought myself into your inn. The rest stays with me." We sat in silence for a moment. On the mantel, the white candle continued to burn low, its flame bent away from the man like a flower turning from shadow. I could feel the cold radiating off him despite the fire's warmth. Not just the physical cold of the storm outside, but something deeper, something that had settled into him long ago and never quite left. "What's your name?" I asked. He considered the question as though it were a trap. "Calder," he said finally. "That's what they call me. Just Calder. Just Calder. You've come a long way, Calder. The passes are dangerous this time of the year. The passes are always dangerous. That's why they need wardens. And you're delivering something in this weather?" His hand tightened again on the bundle. "I'm carrying something. There's a difference." I wanted to ask more. The questions pressed against my teeth like birds against a window, desperate to fly free. But something in Calder's eyes stopped me. A warning, a wall. Whatever he was carrying, whatever had driven him through the worst storm in 13 years, he was not going to speak of it willingly. And on the mantel, the white candle flickered. Not the slight waver I had seen earlier. This was different. The flame guttered, shrank, nearly died. For one terrible heartbeat, the common room went almost dark, lit only by the glow of the fireplace. And in that darkness, I felt something I had never felt before in all my years at the crossroads. I felt the inn itself shudder, not physically. The walls did not shake, the floor did not tremble, but something in the fabric of this place, something invisible, essential, contracted as though in pain, as though whatever made this inn a refuge, whatever magic the old woman had blessed into these stones and beams, was pulling away from the man at my table. Then the candle's flame rose again, small, still smaller than it should be, but burning. The sense of wrongness passed like a shadow over the sun. Calder had not seemed to notice. He was staring at his empty bowl, his face unreadable, his hand still clutching the wrapped bundle. "I need a room," he said. "Private, if you have one." I had one. Of course I had one. The inn was nearly empty, and the private rooms were available. But something in me resisted the request. I did not want this man sleeping upstairs above the common room in the space where ordinary travelers found their rest. I gave him the room anyway. What else could I do? He had asked for shelter. He had come in from the cold. Whatever he carried, whatever weight he bore, he was still a traveler in need. And I am the innkeeper, the keeper of the crossroads, the guardian of the between time. I welcome them all, even the ones who make the white candle shrink away. Entry 5. The 26th day of the first moon before dawn. I cannot sleep. The inn is quiet now. Aldrich is in his room, Marin and Tobias in theirs, Calder in the private chamber at the end of the hall. Everyone is resting or trying to rest while the storm continues to howl outside. But I am here at my desk, my ordinary candle burning beside me, writing these words because I cannot close my eyes without seeing the white candle's flame shrinking into darkness. The image haunts me, that guttering, wavering, nearly extinguished light. In all my years at the crossroads, I have never seen anything like it, and the sight has shaken something loose inside me that I did not know could be shaken. What happened tonight? I have asked myself this question 100 times since I climbed the stairs to my chamber. I have turned it over in my mind like a stone in my palm, examining it from every angle, and still I cannot find an answer that satisfies. The candle dimmed, that much is certain. For a moment, just a moment, it nearly went out entirely. In 13 years of burning, through storms far worse than this, through nights far colder, through guests far stranger, the white candle has never faltered. It has burned with the same steady flame since the old woman placed it in my hands, since she blessed this place and told me to welcome them all. But tonight, it dimmed. What does that mean? I find myself cataloging the possibilities, though none of them bring comfort. Perhaps the blessing has a limit, a number of travelers it can guide, a number of years it can burn, a threshold beyond which even miraculous things must end. Perhaps Calder carried something that actively opposes the light, some darkness so concentrated that it pushes against the blessing like water against a dam. Perhaps the candle was simply responding to my own fear, my own doubt, my own uncertainty about welcoming a guest who made me uneasy. That last possibility troubles me most of all, because if the candle responds to me, if its flame depends somehow on my faith, my commitment, my willingness to welcome, then its dimming tonight might be my fault. My hesitation at the door, my reluctance to let Calder in, the small, shameful part of me that wanted to turn him away, to keep the inn safe and quiet, to protect what I have built rather than risk it for a stranger. I find myself thinking of the old woman's words, the ones she spoke on that first winter night when she appeared at the door like a figure from a story. She had walked on top of the snow, I remember. Her footprints were there in the morning, small and delicate, leading from the crossroads to the inn and then vanishing, as though she had simply ceased to exist once she passed back beyond the yard. "You have built something special here," she said. "A refuge in the wilderness, a light in the darkness. Do not underestimate its importance. In the days to come, there will be many who need what you offer. Welcome them all. Welcome them all. I have tried. For 13 years, I have tried. Every traveler who knocked at my door, every merchant and pilgrim and wanderer, I have welcomed them into this place and given them what shelter I could. I have fed them, warmed them, listened to their stories. I have asked no questions that were not offered answers. I have judged no one by the weight they carried or the shadows in their eyes. But Calder is different. Something about him resists welcome. Something about the bundle he carries, whatever it is wrapped in its new oilskin, pushes against the very nature of this place. The candle knows it. The inn itself seems to know it, and yet he is here, sleeping under my roof, sheltered by my fire, protected from the storm that would surely kill him if I turned him out. What am I supposed to do? The question keeps circling back, no matter how many times I try to think past it. What am I supposed to do when hospitality itself seems dangerous? When welcoming a guest might mean extinguishing the very light that makes this place a refuge? There must be an answer. There must be some principle, some guideline, some piece of wisdom that covers this situation. But if there is, I do not know it. My father never told me what to do when the candle dimmed. The old woman never mentioned that it could dim at all. All I have are the words she spoke. Welcome them all, and the slowly growing certainty that those words mean exactly what they say. All of them, without exception, without condition, even when it costs something, even when it hurts. I think of my father, as I often do in moments of uncertainty. He built this inn with his own hands, choosing this crossroads for reasons he never fully explained. Perhaps he knew what I have come to understand, that crossroads are places of power, places where paths meet and choices are made, places where the boundaries between worlds grow thin. Perhaps he sensed, as I have sensed, that such places need keepers, need guardians, need someone to tend the fire and hold the space and welcome whoever comes seeking rest. He never told me what to do when the welcome itself felt wrong. Or maybe he did, and I am only now beginning to understand. I remember a night long ago when I was still a child. A man came to the inn, a rough man, hard-edged, reeking of drink and something darker. My father welcomed him as he welcomed everyone, but I saw something in my father's face that night that I had never seen before. Wariness, perhaps, or something deeper than wariness. An understanding that not everyone who seeks shelter deserves it, but that the shelter must be offered nonetheless. The man caused no trouble that night. He ate his meal, drank his ale, slept in the common room, and left before dawn. I never learned his name or his story, but I remember my father sitting up late by the fire after the man had gone to sleep, his eyes fixed on the flames, his hands wrapped around a mug that had long since gone cold. "Why did you let him stay?" I asked. I should have been in bed, but I'd crept down the stairs to find my father, to be near him, to understand. He looked at me with those deep eyes of his, eyes I inherited, people say, though I've never been as wise as he was. "Because that is what we do," he said. "We keep the crossroads. We keep the light. We do not choose who needs shelter. We only choose to offer it." "But what if he's a bad man?" My father smiled, though there was sadness in it. "Then he needs shelter more than anyone." I did not understand him then. I am not certain I understand him now. But I hope I am beginning to. Calder is here because he needs to be here. Whatever he carries, whatever darkness follows in his wake, he came to this crossroads on the coldest night in 13 years because he had nowhere else to go. And I opened the door because that is what the innkeeper does. That is what the crossroads demands. But the candle dimmed. The candle, which has never faltered, never wavered, never shown any sense that its light could be diminished. The candle dimmed when Calder walked through the door, and it remains dim now, burning low on the mantel in the common room below, a shadow of what it was. What if it goes out? The question terrifies me more than I can express, not because I fear the darkness. I have lived without light before, as all men have, and I know that dawn eventually goes. But because if the candle goes out, something will be lost that can never be regained. The blessing the old woman gave, the protection she wove into these walls, the quality that makes this place a refuge, a light in the darkness, a beacon for the lost and weary. If the candle goes out, the crossroads becomes just another inn, just another building in the wilderness, just another place where travelers might stop if they happen to pass by. And I cannot let that happen. The wind is dying down outside. I can hear the change in its voice, the way the howl has softened to a moan. Perhaps the storm is finally passing. Perhaps tomorrow will bring some relief from the cold, some clearing of the roads, some return to the normal rhythm of travel and rest that sustains this place. But first, I must make it through this night. I am going downstairs now. I am going to sit by the fire, to watch the candle, to keep vigil over whatever is happening in my inn. Calder sleeps upstairs with his mysterious bundle, and the other guests sleep in their own rooms, and the storm sighs itself to exhaustion beyond the walls. And I will keep watch. That is all I can do. Keep watch. Keep the fire burning. Keep the door unlocked. And trust with every part of my being that the candle will not go out. Entry 6. The 26th day of the first moon, the hour before dawn. The candle was nearly out when I reached the common room. I had descended the stairs quietly, careful not to wake the guests, my feet finding the familiar path in darkness. The fire had burned down to embers, casting only a dim red glow across the flagstones. And on the mantel, the white candle, the miraculous, undiminishing candle that has burned for 13 years, was little more than a flicker, a spark, a ghost of light that seemed ready to vanish at any moment. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I could not move. I could not breathe. The sight of that dying flame held me in place like a hand pressed against my chest, and in that moment, I understood something I had never fully understood before. I was afraid. Not of the darkness, not of the cold, not of Calder or his bundle or whatever unknown thing he had brought into this place. I was afraid of failure, of being the innkeeper who let the crossroads fall, of standing here helpless, while everything my father built and everything the old woman blessed slipped away into the night. For 13 years I have kept this place. I have fed the travelers, tended the fire, maintained the building, written my journals by candlelight. I've done everything I know how to do, but I have never faced this moment, this terrifying, crystallizing moment when doing everything might not be enough. The candle's flame wavered, bent, nearly touched the wax. And then I heard it, a sound from above, a creak of floorboards, the unmistakable noise of someone moving, getting up, crossing the room. Calder was awake. I heard his door open, heard his footsteps in the hall, heard him descending the stairs, each step measured and deliberate, as though he knew exactly where he was going and what he intended to do. He appeared at the bottom of the stairs, wrapped in his road-warden's cloak, the bundle in his arms. In the dim light of the dying candle and the ember-red fireplace, he looked like something from a dream or a nightmare, a figure made of shadow and purpose, moving through the darkness toward some end I could not see. He stopped when he saw me. We stood there, facing each other, across the common room, the candle between us on the mantel barely burning, the fire between us nearly dead, the cold pressing in from every direction, from every gap in the walls, from the very air itself. "You're awake?" he said. "I couldn't sleep." He nodded slowly, as though my answer confirmed something he had already suspected. Then his eyes moved to the candle, and for the first time since he arrived, I saw something other than wariness in his face, something that might have been surprise or concern or fear. "That candle," he said, "it was brighter when I arrived." It was. Why? The question hung in the air between us. Why? Such a simple word, such an impossible answer. "I don't know why," I said, and it was true. For all my watching, all my worrying, all my desperate prayers that the candle would not go out, I did not know why it was dying, did not know what had changed, did not know how to make it right. Calder was quiet for a long moment. Then he moved to the table nearest the fire, my father's table, and set the bundle down carefully. He looked at it, looked at me, looked at the candle again. "I need to tell you something," he said. I waited. "This," he touched the bundle with one careful finger, "this is something that should have been destroyed years ago when it was first found, but it wasn't. It was kept, hidden, passed from keeper to keeper, each one afraid to be the one who finally ended it. What is it?" He did not answer directly. "I've been walking these roads for 20 years, he said instead. "I've carried messages and packages and things I was told not to ask about. I learned not to ask. That was a job. Carry what needs carrying, deliver what needs delivering. Don't look, don't wonder, don't think about what it means." His voice had changed. The hardness was still there, but underneath it, something else was emerging, something tired, something old. "But this one is different," he said. "This one follows. Not physically, you can't see it coming up behind you, but it's there, in the air, in the cold, in the way people look away when you pass, in the way fires burn lower when you enter a room, in the way children fall silent and animals grow restless." He paused, staring at the bundle as though it might, at any moment, break free and do something terrible. "I've carried it for 16 days now. The longest anyone has ever carried it, they say. Most give up after a week, hand it off to someone else. Pass the burden like a curse. Why haven't you?" "Because I don't want anyone else to feel what I feel." His voice was barely above a whisper. "Because whatever this thing is, whatever debt it records, it's been passed from hand to hand for longer than anyone remembers, and every time it moves, it takes something from the one who held it, some piece of warmth, some capacity for rest." The fire crackled in the silence. Outside, the wind moaned against the shutters. "What is it?" I asked again. Calder's hand closed over the bundle. "A ledger," he said, a record of debts. Very old debts. The kind that were written in blood and never settled. I did not understand, or perhaps I did, in the way we sometimes understand things that have no words. The bundle was not just an object, it was a weight, a burden, a thing that carried darkness with it wherever it went. "Why did you come here?" I asked. He looked at me, then really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that I had not expected to see. Shame. Deep, old, familiar shame. "Because I didn't know where else to go," he said. "Because the storms have closed every other road, because I saw the light." The candle, burning in your window like a beacon. I thought." He stopped, swallowed, tried again. "I thought if there was anywhere I could rest, even for one night, it would be here." The candle's flame flickered again, sank lower. The shadows in the room grew deeper. "But it's not working," Calder said. "Is it? Whatever makes this place what it is, I'm breaking it." He was right. I knew he was right. The candle was failing because something about Calder, or something about what he carried, was antithetical to this place, to the welcome, to the light. His very presence was pushing against the blessing that made the crossroads possible. And in that moment, standing in the near darkness with a stranger who carried something terrible, I understood what I had to do. Not to fight it, not to resist it, not to cast him out into the cold or demand that he leave the bundle behind. I had to welcome him anyway. "Come here," I said. Calder frowned. "What?" "Bring the bundle. Come to the fire." He hesitated. I could see the confusion in his face, the uncertainty. He had expected me to be afraid, to pull away, to ask him to leave. Instead, I was asking him to come closer. I did not fully understand myself why I was asking this. The words came from somewhere deeper than thought, from some instinct or memory or principle that had taken root in me during all these years of innkeeping. If the candle was dimming because of fear, mine or his, or the bundle's, then the answer was not more fear, not distance, not protection. The answer was the opposite. "Please," I said. Slowly, carefully, Calder rose from the table. He picked up the bundle. He crossed the room to where I stood, near the dying fire, near the failing candle. Each step seemed to cost him something, as though he were wading through water that grew deeper the closer he came. "Sit," I said. I gestured to the chair closest to the hearth, my father's chair. The chair where my father had spent countless evenings watching the door, waiting for travelers, offering welcome to everyone who came. The chair I had never let anyone else sit in. Not since he died, Calder sat. I went to the kitchen. The familiar space welcomed me, the rough wooden surfaces, the smell of dried herbs, the warmth that lingered, even when the main fire burned low. I filled a mug with water from the covered pitcher, added a handful of dried herbs, chamomile, a mint, a touch of elderflower, and set it on the rack above the embers to warm. The ritual calmed me, the familiarity of it, the simple act of preparing something for someone else. This is what I do, I thought, as I watched the water begin to steam. This is who I am. I make tea. I warm soup. I offer what I have to whoever needs it. It seems so simple, stated that way, so obvious. But in the moment, standing in the kitchen, while the candle dimmed in the common room, it felt like the most important truth I had ever understood. When the tea was ready, I brought it to him. "Here," I said, "drink this." He took the mug, looked at it, looked at me. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you're cold. Because you're tired. Because you've been carrying something heavy for a long time and you need to rest. You don't know what I've done." "No, I don't. But I know what I do. I keep this in. I tend this fire. I offer what I have to whoever needs it." I sat down across from him in the chair I had occupied earlier. "Whatever you're carrying, whatever you've done right now, in this moment, you're a traveler who needs shelter, and I'm the one who gives it." The tea steamed in his hands. The bundle sat on his lap, still wrapped, still heavy with whatever darkness it contained. And on the mantel, the white candle's flame continued to waver, barely alight, barely burning. But it was still burning. "Drink," I said. Calder lifted the mug to his lips. He drank. And as he drank, I saw something shift in his face. Not a dramatic change, not a transformation, just a softening, a loosening of the tension that had held him tight since he walked through my door. "Thank you," he said. The words came out rough, unpracticed, as though he had not spoken them in a very long time. "You're welcome." We sat together in the dim light, the stranger and the innkeeper, while the fire crackled low and the storm outside finally began to ease. And slowly, so slowly, I almost thought I was imagining it, the white candle's flame began to rise. Not much at first, just a slight steadying, a halt to the desperate wavering that had made it seem on the verge of extinction, then a little higher, a little brighter. The flame lifted itself with what seemed almost like effort, like a creature pulling itself up from a pit. I watched it, afraid to breathe too deeply, afraid that any sudden movement might break whatever fragile recovery was underway. And as I watched, I felt something in the room shift. The weight that had pressed down on us since Calder arrived, that sense of wrongness, of opposition, began to ease, not disappear entirely, but ease. The candle was not fighting the darkness anymore. It was accepting it, making room for it, finding a way to burn even in the presence of something that wanted it to fail. I looked at Calder. He was staring at the candle too, his face unreadable in the slowly brightening light. The mug of tea sat half empty in his hands, steam still rising from its surface. "It was nearly out," he said quietly. "Yes, because of me, because of what I carry. Perhaps. But now it's burning, yes." He shook his head slowly. "I don't understand. Neither do I." It was the honest answer. I still did not understand why the candle had dimmed, or why it was recovering now, or What exactly had changed in the space of a few minutes and a cup of tea? But understanding did not seem as important as it had before. Some things work even when we do not understand them. The fire burns even though we cannot see the individual flames. The sun rises even though we cannot explain its path. And hospitality heals even when we cannot trace the mechanism of its healing. I watched the candle, watched the man, watched the bundle that still sat on his lap, still wrapped in its oil skin, still heavy with its burden. Nothing had changed. Calder still carried what he carried. The ledger, if that's what it was, still held whatever terrible accounts it had always held. The darkness was still there, pressing against the light. But the light was still there too, and that was enough. Entry 7, the 26th day of the first moon morning. The dawn came gray and cold, but it came. I must have fallen asleep at some point, there into my chair by the fire. When I opened my eyes, the common room was filled with the pale light of winter morning, and the fire had burned down to ashes, and Calder was gone. For a moment, I thought I had dreamed the whole thing. The man, the bundle, the candle dimming almost to darkness. But then I saw the empty mug on the table where he had been sitting, and I saw the white candle on the mantel, burning steadily, its flame tall and straight and bright once more. And I saw, beside the mug, a small object that had not been there before. A coin, old silver worn smooth by countless hands. I picked it up and turned it over, but there were no markings I could recognize, just the silver, just the weight of it in my palm, just the sense that it meant something, payment perhaps, or thanks, or simply an acknowledgement of what had passed between us in the dark hours of the night. The coin was cold at first, but as I held it, it seemed to warm in my palm. Or perhaps I only imagined that. Perhaps the warmth was simply my own blood circulating through my fingers, returning sensation to extremities numbed by the cold night. Either way, I slipped the coin into my pocket. I do not know what I will do with it. Perhaps I will keep it in the small box where I store mementos. The carved wooden bird my father made me when I was 7, the pressed flower from the garden of my mother's people, the first copper coin I ever earned keeping this in. Things that have no value except the value of memory. Calder had left. The bundle had gone with him. Whatever road he walked now, whatever destination he sought, he had departed before the sun rose, before the other guests stirred, before I could wake and wish him well. I went to the window and looked out at the crossroads, half expecting to see his footprints in the snow. But the morning light revealed only a smooth white surface, unmarked by any passage. Either the wind had erased his footprints, or he had left before the last snowfall ended. Either way, there was no sign of him, no trace that he had ever been here at all, except for the coin in my pocket and the memory of his face in the dim light, and the knowledge that for one night something dark had come to the crossroads and the light had held. Perhaps that was what he needed, a quiet departure, a slipping away, a chance to continue his journey without the burden of goodbye. I understood that. Sometimes leaving is easier when no one is watching. I have spent the morning tending to the inn, feeding the fire, checking on the guests, preparing breakfast for those who remain. The routine of it steadies me. The familiarity of simple tasks, splitting wood, stirring porridge, sweeping ash from the hearth, grounds me in the present moment, in the reality of stone and timber and flame. Aldrich came down first, moving slowly, his joints stiff from the cold. He ate his porridge, standing by the fire, warming his hands on the bowl, his eyes fixed on some distant memory. I did not ask what he was thinking about. Some thoughts are best left undisturbed. Marin and Tobias followed. The boy looked better this morning. There was color in his cheeks, a brightness in his eyes that had been absent yesterday. He asked if he could visit the sheep in the stable, and Marin nodded, and I watched him go with a lightness in my chest that surprised me. Children are resilient. They bend where adults break. Perhaps Tobias would be all right in time. Perhaps the grief would ease into something he could carry. Marin stayed behind after her nephew left. She helped me clear the breakfast dishes, though I told her it wasn't necessary. Her hands needed something to do, I think, like Aldrich, like me, like all of us, in our different ways, working through our burdens, one small task at a time. There was another guest here last night, she said as she stacked the bowls. I heard someone on the stairs. A road warden. He left early. Was he all right? I thought about the question, about Calder's dark eyes and hard jaw, about the bundle he carried, about the way the candle dimmed in his presence and then steadied again somehow after nothing more than a cup of tea and a few words spoken in the dark. I think so, I said. Or at least he will be, eventually. Marin nodded. She did not ask anything more. The sun is higher now, and the clouds are beginning to break. I can see patches of blue between the gray, and the light that falls through the windows has lost some of its pallor. The cold is still bitter, but the wind has died, and the snow has stopped falling. Perhaps the worst has passed. I walked out to the crossroads this morning after the breakfast was done, stood beneath the ancient oak tree that marks the intersection of the two roads. Its branches were bare and black against the brightening skies. And its trunk was rimmed with frost, but there was something alive about it still, something patient, something eternal. I looked down the road to the north, toward the mountain passes where Calder had gone. The snow was unmarked. Either the wind had erased his footprints, or he had left before the last snowfall ended. Either way, there was no sign of him, no trace that he had ever been here at all, except for the coin in my pocket, and the memory of his face in the dim light, and the knowledge that for one night something dark had come to the crossroads, and the light had held. I do not know what will happen to Calder. I do not know if he will find whatever destination he seeks, or if the burden he carries will break him in the end. I do not know if the ledger, if that is truly what it is, will ever be destroyed, or if it will continue to pass from hand to hand, carrying its terrible weight through the years. But I know this: he found shelter here when he needed it. He sat by my paw, he drank my tea, and for one moment, in the darkest hour of the night, he heard the words everyone needs to hear: "You are welcome here." That is enough. That has to be enough. Because if hospitality means only welcoming the easy guests, the pleasant travelers, the ones who bring no shadow and leave no mark, then it is not hospitality at all. It is just business, just transaction, just an exchange of coin for comfort. Real hospitality is something harder. It is welcoming the ones who make the candle dim. It is offering tea to those who carry darkness. It is sitting in the long night with someone you do not understand, someone who frightens you, someone whose presence presses against everything you've built, and saying, nonetheless, you may stay. My father understood this, I think. He welcomed the rough man on that long-ago night, not because he thought the man was good, but because he understood that goodness was not a prerequisite for shelter. The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike, as the old saying goes. And so must the innkeeper's welcome fall. We do not get to choose who comes to our doors. We do not get to evaluate their worthiness, weigh their virtues against their shadows, decide whether they deserve the warmth we offer. That is not our role. Our role is simpler and harder: to keep the door unlocked, to keep the fire burning, to say yes when someone needs rest. The old woman knew this, I think, when she gave me the candle. When she blessed this place, she was not just giving me a light to guide travelers through the dark. She was teaching me what the light is for. The light is not for illuminating only bright things. The light is for pushing back against the darkness wherever it appears, in whatever form it takes. The light is for standing steady when everything else wavers, and the light is fueled, has always been fueled, not by magic or miracle, but by the simple, stubborn act of welcome. Welcome them all, she said. I understand now. I finally understand. The candle burns bright on the mantel as I write these words. Its flame is steady, tall, unwavering. The storm has passed. The guests are warm. The inn stands as it has always stood, a refuge in the wilderness, a light in the darkness, a place of rest for whoever needs it. And I am here, the innkeeper, the keeper of the crossroads, welcoming them all. Entry 7, continued late afternoon. I must add one final note before I close this journal for the night. The sun has moved lower in the sky since I began writing, and the light through my east-facing window has shifted from rose and gold to the deeper amber of late afternoon. I can hear movement in the inn below, the quiet sounds of people going about the simple business of being alive. Footsteps, voices, the creak of a chair being pushed back from a table. These sounds comfort me now in a way they did not during the empty days. They remind me why this place exists. This afternoon, as the sun was beginning its descent toward the western horizon, Aldrich came to me with an offer. He will stay through the rest of the winter, he said, help with the work, earn his keep by mending fences, splitting wood, tending the stable. His sheep can provide wool in the spring if she survives until then. And she will survive, he said, with a certainty that came from somewhere deep in his weathered heart. She will survive because he will make sure of it. I accepted his offer without hesitation. The inn can use another pair of hands, especially in these cold months, and Aldrich can use the purpose. We are both, I think, people who need to be needed. Marin and Tobias will leave tomorrow if the roads are passable. They have family waiting for them in one of the southern settlements. Marin's husband's people, she said, who will help her raise the boy. She has thanked me a dozen times for the shelter, for the food, for the kindness. I have told her each time that thanks are unnecessary. This is what the inn is for. This is what I am for. She seems lighter today than when she arrived. The grief is still there. I can see it in the way she pauses sometimes mid-sentence, as though she has forgotten what she meant to say, but it is no longer crushing her. Rest has done its work. Warmth has done its work. The simple act of being cared for, even by a stranger, has begun to heal something that was broken inside her. Tobias, too, seems changed. He spoke at dinner tonight, actually spoke in full sentences about the sheep and the chickens and the way the snow looked in the morning light. His voice is still quiet, still hesitant, but it is there. He is coming back to himself, piece by piece, the way we all come back from loss when we are given the time and space to do so. They will continue their journey tomorrow, and I will probably never see them again. That is the nature of innkeeping. People pass through, they rest, they continue on. The crossroads is not a destination. It is a pause between destinations, a moment of stillness in lives defined by movement. But there is something I have not told her and will not tell her, because some things are best left unspoken. When she and Tobias arrived, exhausted and grieving, fleeing a funeral and a journey that should have broken them, I almost did not have room. The inn was empty, yes, but I had been so focused on my own loneliness, my own worries, my own fears about the cold and the silence, that I almost forgot why those empty rooms existed in the first place. They exist so that weary travelers have somewhere to rest. Not so that I have something to maintain, not so that I can feel useful, not so that I can keep myself busy through the long winter nights. The inn exists for them, for Marin and Tobias, for Aldrich and his surviving sheep, for Henrik the cartwright, wherever he may be, for Calder with his burden and his darkness and his desperate need for shelter, and for everyone who comes to the crossroads, seeking rest. I had forgotten that briefly. The empty nights had made me focus inward, had made me think of the inn as mine, my responsibility, my burden, my solitary kingdom of timber and stone. But it is not mine. It never was. It belongs to them, to everyone who passes through, to the road itself, and whatever force calls travelers to its intersections. I am only the keeper. The white candle reminds me of this every time I look at it. It does not burn for me, it burns for them. It guides them through the darkness, calls them to safety, promises them warmth and welcome before they ever see the walls of the inn itself. And when it dimmed last night, when Calder's presence pressed against it and nearly extinguished its flame, it was reminding me of something essential. The light is not automatic. It requires tending. It requires fuel. And the fuel is hospitality, real hospitality, the hard kind, the kind that welcomes even those who make the candle shrink away. If I had turned Calder out, if I had refused him shelter because of the darkness he carried, if I had chosen my own comfort, my own safety over his need for rest, the candle might have gone out entirely. Not because he was a threat, but because I would have betrayed what the candle stands for. Welcome them all of them, without exception, without condition, without counting the cost. That is the lesson of this night, the lesson I will carry with me through the rest of this winter and through all the winters to come. The sun is setting now. The sky is painted in shades of rose and gold, visible through my small east-facing window. The color spills across my desk, the desk my father made, and illuminates the pages of this journal. Tomorrow there will be more travelers, or next week, or next month. The roads will thaw, the passes will clear, and they will come as they always come. The merchants and pilgrims, the scholars and wanderers, the lost and the found. And I will be here, waiting for them, ready to offer whatever they need. Shelter, food, warmth, welcome, always welcome.
And so another night passes at the inn at the crossroads. The candle burns on. The fire crackles low. The guests find their rest, and the innkeeper sets down his pen and closes his journal. And the silence that follows is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of peace. Thank you for being here tonight, for settling in, for listening, for trusting this place with your own rest. You have joined the countless travelers who have passed through these doors, seeking shelter from whatever storms you carry. You are welcome here. You are always welcome here. If this journey brought you comfort, consider returning again sometime. There are many more nights recorded in this journal, many more travelers with stories to tell, many more entries written by candlelight in the small hours before dawn. The crossroads will still be here, and so will the innkeeper, keeping his vigil, tending his fire, waiting for whoever needs him next. Until then, let the warmth of the common room stay with you. Let the steady flame of the white candle light your way into sleep. Let the innkeeper's final words be your lullaby. Rest now, traveler. You have earned it. Good night.